Hi, hello, and welcome to the Lunar Lounge, brought to you by Vertex of Abundance. My name is Serene Priestess Gorgeous, also known as the Blosi Baba. I'll be your oracle today, and I was sent here to deliberate my findings for the new moon in Virgo, which is around the 17th of September, 2020. If anything that is said resonates deeply with you, I can be reached at baba@ablosi.org. And for the Mystery School, the email address is oracle@vertexofabundance.org. The findings will be deliberated through Lady Frida Harris's Thought Tarot, created by Aleister Crowley, and I will be imposing the guidance from Nadi Anastasia's Cosmic Activation cards for the soul. I've already meditated and gotten out the clarification energy. What I will do is I'll use the major arcana here on camera to go ahead and impose the full judgment or guidance, if you would. And again, the findings are coming from the Thoth Tarot, and that's something we use for the Mission School to help with the keys to the library. So I've already meditated this month, and the card that we got is Cosmic Connections. It's card number 11 off of page 43, and that's by Nadi Anastasia's Cosmic Activation Cards for the Soul. Affirmation: I am illuminated, inspired and grateful for this opportunity to expand in the light of pure consciousness. You are connected to cosmic intelligence. Your vibration is being raised to higher levels. This card brings the message of divine support and illumination. Your vibration is being raised to higher levels with greater understanding, insight, and perception. It is no coincidence that you are finding yourself in sync with new people whose vibrations are at a similar frequency to your own. These new connections are bringing you greater clarity and reflecting the radiant light within you. Yes, there are challenges that surround you, challenges that can really tug at your heartstrings. But please understand that these challenges come to you at this time to help you grow and evolve into higher states of consciousness. The universe of love has sent beautiful light-filled souls to guide your way and assist you through this transition. Not only do you have these wonderful earthly guides, but also the assistance of loving cosmic guides from a higher dimension. You are a visionary of love, and through the raising of your own vibration, you will assist others to awaken. Spirit sees your hunger and desire for change. It sees your passion and thirst for planetary healing. Rest assured, your dreams and visions will come to fruition. But first, your own vibration and light needs to be raised. This opportunity comes to you through the challenges you currently face. You see, dear one, the understanding gained from these challenges and the healing they bring will be the precursor to your own increased light. Keep going and know that you are not alone during this time. Associated chakras are the heart, the third eye, the crown, and the throat. So let us begin. That was card number 11 from page 43. I'm getting a lot of Shiva energy through that. It was also aligning the chakra, so that's very much into the rainbow bridge. I've gotten these energies out already, so it's interesting that I'm getting a notion of like going out into the world and confronting things alive in us, dealing with colder, harsher truths, opposing realities, rude awakenings, and it is as if we're incorporating expansion from disappointments that we need to make. And you know, with the new moon, it's almost like as if you plant a seed into the subconscious, and over the next few weeks on towards the full moon, something about that manifests into the material. So things that manifest into material, they have to get filtered through multiple levels. And I'm just getting that there's already things alive in us that are not material, that have already manifested, etheric things, emotional things, mental things, deep within our causal body, yet closer or nearer to the surface. And we'll identify these things when we understand the wisdom we've been spending in places, the ideas, the emotions about how people, places, and things are expanding in our lives is somewhat, oppositional, confrontational. As we go out in the world to arrive at a foundation of aligned investment, especially self-oriented, we will have to deal with the current reality that in order to gain progress right now in the situation in the world, we're going to need to expand and grow through disappointments, hard aches, harsh truths at the very least. Now, subconsciously, again, what's trying to manifest here in the material world, let us begin. This is the Virgo new moon around the 17th of September. I'm already in the flow here, 2020. And again, my name is Serene Priestess Gorgeous, also known as the Ablosi Baba. I can be reached at baba@ablosi.org or oracle@vertexofabundance.org. Subconsciously, we're confronting cold hard truths, negotiating, navigating out in the world, out on the path, the petitions we make with the higher realms, with the crown, with the authentic self, the eternal self, our divine, our celestial selves. It's brought forth an answer, but there's needing to be strength, courage, and wisdom from the standpoint of self-worth and value. We'll have need to have a willingness and adeptness and adaptability with navigating cold, harsh truths in order to make those sustainable foundations. We're going to need to do that. And it would seem to me that we will arrive at expansions over time. We'll notice that we're able to triumph and be victorious. Whatever petitions we had through the world of our authentic self, we were able to gain that celestial identity, that eternal knowledge, that authentic nature. And yes, again, okay, we will have had to confront what's deep alive in us, maybe even be triumphant through a dark journey of the soul, go through the depths of our natures, even our shadow selves, looking for light, digging for inner gold, self-worth and value kind of gold. And what should arrive out of this, here's a way to know that we've completed that journey. We will have faith and trust in the power of creation, the place upon which our subconscious becomes manifest through a higher nature, a higher self, an authentic being that is embodied in our own spirit, but it is eternal. The healing that we should have from self-alliances, I feel like it would be a spiritual path, a bright, healing, spiritual future of the deepest need calling out, the authentic self coming through, alignment of a spiritual practice and path, and it will have come through understanding our union with the divine. This union that I speak of is about showing up, navigating, negotiating eternally. We're learning how to do things while we're in a physical vessel on an eternal level. We've gotten to the highest, most refined aspect of our material existence, and now we're incorporating spiritual tools, techniques, technologies into that material existence. That material existence has to become system structures, foundations. Those means, mechanisms, methodologies are pretty secure in our life. The material refinement, whether we're conscious or not conscious of that. We understand the humaning, and so now we're doing the spiritual being nature of that human that we do. And a lot of it is not effectual, meaning it's still subconscious. Pardon the noise in the background if you can pick it up. A lot of this serene state, this supernal, eternal nature, it's subconscious. Most of us consciously are noticing that we've healed through something pretty spectacular, and it would have been cold and prickly. We would have had to spend a lot of time there collecting wisdom. It would have been some type of inner journey, also maybe even some type of inner battle that was going on. We've healed that. That we'll manifest that. We'll know that consciously, but subconsciously, it's this eternal nature we're coming into. Okay, so it's a healing of our place in the world through stepping into an exalted state. This exalted state would be being in alignment with our spiritual guides, also ascended masters. Our guides, our ascended masters, our ancestors. We'll finally be in a union, in a partnership, in alignment. We'll understand things from an authentic nature. Because we've had an awareness, but we weren't in union with these subtle spiritual realities. I keep hearing the word cognition, spiritual cognition. So that's a spiritual understanding and awareness of the active state of spirituality. What is spirituality? You are a spirit in actuality and, eternity and eventuality, meaning even though your physical vessel will expire, there's an eternity to that. So for me, when you understand spirituality, you understand that alive in you is a spirit, and you understand what that spirit looks like here in the physical and in the eternal, and you step into unions, maybe even a spiritual union with said spirit so that it can lead you into the eternity from the eventual. So said differently, first of all, you are a spirit and the spirit resides in a soul. Every soul has a spirit, but not every spirit has a soul. Meaning even though you may have an emotional consciousness, you always have some type of breath, some type of ability that expands and contracts. So if you can understand how the phenomena of the universe is anchored into that expansion and contraction on a soul level, you've graduated. So that's the beginning of this process of being seated. We're moving into the heavenly states, around heavenly beings, around heavenly celestial waters. We're becoming clean, clean, clean. So in effect, we're running into partnerships, alliances, and friendships with people, places, and things that serve us. We would have had to move through those places in our lives where we were overwhelmed, where we just lacked a sense of authentic self. Since we didn't know who we were, we didn't know what we wanted. Since we didn't know what we wanted, we weren't asking clearly from the universe. Since we weren't asking clearly from the universe, at the most, it was a net negative, meaning preventing from loss. We weren't thriving, we were surviving. Now that's shifted because we're now in somewhat calmer waters. Let's look at that. Mysteries about our authentic self have been revealed to us, period. The people, places, and things around us have grown and expanded our lives so that we can move into the right alignments, we can accomplish the right timeline. So I'm curious how many of us are beginning or finding our spiritual path here. Subconsciously, we are transitioning into proper foundations of the soul group, the people, places, and things around us. Consciously, we are anchoring in our power in this world, our power in the situation, our spiritual power. We've finally completed and graduated into a spiritual consciousness. Our eternal nature is beginning to introduce itself to us. And not only that, but we're evolving that, anchoring that into the actual soul group. So the people, places, and things around us will also be an aspect of our eternal nature. Okay, so it will be healing and awakening. I do want to say, unfortunately, if we're resistant, it's not going to be particularly pleasant. What I'm saying is, by any certain means, the spiritual reality will dawn upon us. And it could happen on the collective scale, or it could happen on an individual scale, meaning you can be an early adopter or a late adopter of the truth, but the truth is gonna come into your life. Ain't no running, ain't no hiding from the truth. It gonna be coming. So you can be an early adopter or a late adopter. It's up to you. We're just waiting for Virgo. The moon's already come out. Okay, so still we're going here. So this emerging of the truth is, I feel like we need to learn our spiritual name, and we need to learn what spirit is doing in our lives, how spirit manifests through us. And there's some specific cycles of that, mainly finding the right soul group, getting on a destined path. It would be practice, basically devotion, spiritual perspectives, period, point blank, end of story. God's going to find a way to make it into our lives. Now, God, it means generator, operator, destroyer. God is the physical understanding of source energy, which source of creations. Then there's source of eternity, and then there's heaven, where beyond eternity God lives. That's, you ratchet up, you titrate upwards in that spiritual recollection. Okay, so breaking out of hell in some sense. Now let me clarify. There has been a spiritual war, and it's something that we incarnate to on the surface of the earth. Our spirit has been a power source for some type of other. Okay, it's not, well, we'll yet to see. Let me see this next draw here, but fine, Radha Krishna. I'm a Saraswati Shiva kind of devotee, but fine, Radha Krishna. I keep getting it. I'm just gonna cut right to the chase. Radha Krishna's been all up and through here, all up and through, dancing around, tiptoeing, and everything. Okay, so if you don't know Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, you know, to say that like 5 million times, you could do it 20,000 times a day for 5 years to say it enough. it will change everything in your entire spiritual existence, all 9 dimensions. I just, for whatever reason, I'm called to say that. So maybe it's not Radha Krishna. I mean, I work a lot with Radha. Krishna manifests differently for me. I don't deal with the eternal benevolent aspect. That's not how my spirit manifests. My spirit manifests in more of a judgment mechanism. It shows a terrible form. It doesn't show the loving, eternal nature. It doesn't embody the supreme personality of the Godhead. Vishnu is God. It means the innate goodness in the world. And the reason he's a hangman is because he's inverted. When you incarnate, if you're not coming from an eternal self, you're not going to see entirely how God manifests in and through your life. So if you don't understand your eternal nature, so we've been at war. Some of it has been our own self. We've been soothing, holding on to healing from whatever wounds we thought there were. But the wounds that we did sustain was because there was a lack of truth. And now that we fought and battled everything to get up and to stay on higher ground, it then has to transform itself from being just fighting for survival. After a while, you need to move on to other things. You need to evolve. So Vision without now Lakshmi. So this is an interesting thing. There's a medicine I need to give the community, my Ifa house specifically, the Ifa house specifically. So there's this thing where women, a lot of women of great spiritual power show up. They want to go on the journey to find their devotional path, their spiritual practice. They want to go on the journey to get their naming ceremony, do pilgrimage, you know, free their soul up for it in eternity, so that in the next life we're not reincarnating here in the lower forms, dense matter, meaning that they could just be free and at peace. So a lot of this thing happens where we're lonely. We have a man, we have mac and cheese or some kind of MasterCard, and it's like a chronic addiction in our lives. And even if aspects of our nature become aware, there's still some yearning, hoping, wishing, praying, conjuring up some wounding from the past because we're soothing. Really, we have yet to identify that life, being born is a pain, living is a pain, and dying is a pain. It is a cause of suffering if we don't have some spiritual medicine for this material wound. To be born in a body with a spiritual consciousness is a wound unless you have a relationship with that eternal spirit that's alive in you. And oftentimes we've experienced a moment or two of bliss, of ecstatic bliss, meaning we were at one with our spiritual union. And oftentimes it's in the throes of ecstasy, maybe not higher ecstasy, ecstatic bliss. Maybe it's physical pleasure. It may be that of shopping materialism. It may be that of food, you know, materialism still. I would call it a different adjective. So this material focus needs to end. When you immerse yourself in the divine, take refuge in the divine, all that you want in the physical manifest. Because this is an abundant universe, but you need to tap into your celestial endowment and not the physical one. When you tap into the celestial endowment, things come through you. When you tap into the physical endowment, things come from you. And you don't want to find value and meaning in your self-worth and value from things that are material sources. So in order to progress into the real spiritual union, here's what's got to happen. The love and devotion has to be towards what's new. That's where God lives, where your ideas can manifest into reality, where you're not bound by the physical material nature and always losing track of your authentic self. The way that looks like is there are certain things that you'll be forced to isolate yourself from. Certain people, places, and things, certain energy, frequency, vibrations are not going to be in alignment with you. And through being in alignment with your authentic self, naturally and organically, certain energies will be repelled and other energies will be attracted. Meaning, if it's not a flow, it's not a go. And that needs to be fine. If it's not fine, you lack strength, courage, and wisdom to face the reality of the situation. If you have self-worth and value, but no strength, courage, and wisdom, you might as well give up. If you have strength, courage, and wisdom, and no self-worth and value, that's the definition of possessed. So having self-worth and value and no strength, courage, and wisdom, you're in the sunken place, meaning you're aware of your own true nature, but you can't bring that into the physical. If you have strength, courage, and wisdom, meaning you're fighting everything, but you don't know why you're reacting to everything, there's no calm, there's no ecstatic bliss. It's just power, 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 conflict, conflict, conflict. That's the possession. There is a place of faith, hope, and optimism, and it comes through an awareness of your eternal nature. You would be embodying that eternal nature through ecstatic bliss, and you will come to find that through devotion, bhakti. When your eye is fixed on the divine. Now, the divine, it manifests different for female-bodied people than it does for male-bodied people. The divine feminine expresses the divine through sensuality and sacred geometry. The divine masculine embodies the divine through sight, meaning its ability to observe, and compassion. So what is its ability to observe? Ratam, that's universal alignment and order, and dharma, which is duty. Our first duty is to cut anything away from us like a bad cancer that is not in alignment with our authentic self. And this call to arms is going to be quite painful for those who are lacking self-worth and value. If you lack self-worth and value, the pain to be in alignment will be too great. So that's the definition of purgatory. The beings are in purgatory not because they can't see the light, but to go towards the light is too painful because it's easy to hold on to their attachments. Think about how hard it is to give up coffee. Think about how hard it is to give up cigarettes. Think about how hard it is to give up alcohol. Even if on the other side of that is health or more autonomy. There's a difference between wanting to do something and having to do something. So here what we have to do is allow for agendas to be dispersed, allow for energies to be repelled, and it's going to be according to our self-worth and value, and we're not going to be able to go on that journey entirely. We're going to be stuck. We're going to feel like it's a surrender, like it's a sacrifice, because we're going to be lacking a spiritual perspective. We're going to be mired in the materialism, and I'm not saying it's bad. You got to feed your kids. You got to keep a roof over your head. But if your narrative is my money, got to make it, my mortgage, got to pay it, my kids, got to feed them, this money, this man, this MasterCard, this mac and cheese, I'm addicted. I'm in the box. And it's not the divine, how sacred. The ancestors, bless them. The spirits, thank them. The divinities, alive in me, this sacred space, this duty, this dharma that I work in order to be of purpose, in order to be of service, this karma that I purify in order to stay clean, this light of eternity that is alive in me. It could be the same person in a different conversation. It could be the same environment in two separate paths. The same people, places, and things, different reactions. So we're going to need to face some things. There will be some hard transitions that will be according to mostly females in our lives or about love in our lives. And it's going to be somewhat hard to confront these things, especially if we're not in alignment with our authentic nature. And we are having a forced reconciliation, meaning we are forced to come into alignment. In order to heal, there's certain types of gatekeeping protocols, rules of procedure. In order to move through this situation, we'll need to be in alignment with self-worth and value, because there's going to be transformations and transitions, even endings, to come into alignment. Strict execution, severe alignment, and it's non-negotiable. So some of us are going to be a little bit stuck, or in places that we're stuck. Indecision is a decision. Okay, so finally we got Virgo. And it came with the devil. So Virgo also deals with the Sphinx, and Sphinx did come out earlier, and it was talking about our eternal nature. And let's just break this down a little bit. So the Sphinx is the gatekeeper of eternal knowledge, and the Sekhmet is the keeper of eternal life. She comes a lot in the archetype of not abiding demon. So a demon is an intelligence alive in you, a power that's unchecked. Typically, the power is something that is a D word, demon. So D words divide, they split into two, like die, to divide, to split into two. So derelict, destroy, distract, any of those things, like the degradation, destruction. That's what D means. And it always is to separate you from your eternal nature, to separate you from unifying with what is Jesus. Jesus is the collective in terms of love and oneness consciousness. God is like that, eternal, etc., etc. But Jesus, the embodiment of God's. So God is the third eye, Jesus is the heart. Think of it that way. So all the things that, what is Satan? The Satan is the enemy of Jesus, not God. You merge into God to be free of the devil. So it's the devil and Jesus, or Satan and God. Satan is the adversary, the one that prevents you or blocks you from your path. So that's what we have here. Now, some intents and purposes, it could also be hard work, material natures. For instance, if you are starting up a database, even if you're going to create an app, your database would be the devil card, meaning there's something of its own intelligence that has a lot of power, and you do need 7, 8, or 9 to balance this out. So we have a 6. I don't look at the judgment justice card as an 8. I look at it as an 11, and we have 9. So we're battling the devil here, but what we're doing is we're taking a cold hard look at our internal nature. We're also looking at soul's wisdom to see where we're stuck. We're wanting to understand where we are in hell, where we are bound or binded down to something. Karma, things that need to be faced, things that need to be worked through, gone through in order to move through it, things that need to be confronted. It actually is the nature of what is being confronted, in my opinion. It seems like we're on a petition, on a journey through our own authentic self from the sense of our emotional body, our astral body. So that's pretty much around emotions and ideas and how we allow those to be turned into thoughts and feelings. So that's basically the narrative, how we choose to marinate in feelings, in thoughts, whether it's hate, whether it's in love, we're marinating in those energies. In order to ascend, we're going to need to use soul's wisdom there. And this is all confronting the devil. So the devil is, tyranny against us and tyranny against ourselves in terms of where we're giving our power away. So typically the tyranny against us is where we're stuck in a place we can't get out. We don't know that we should get out, or we don't know the true nature of our power dynamic in that situation. It's the collective shadow in a sense where it works against you because it's dividing you from yourself. Typically it's fear. It can't even be shadow, which is using fear against ourselves and others. We're going to be combating that through moving into alignment. In order to move to alignment, we need to allow our emotional reality to be stripped. If we're not willing to look at things a different way, if the why is big enough, the how doesn't matter. So if we're not going on a journey of the authentic self to receive creative vision, if we're not giving drive, desires, passions, motivations, then we're not moving through final endings. We're holding on to something. So alignment is going to come through negotiating, navigating, moving through, seeing things from a different perspective, yet remaining on that open path, a journey towards the authentic self. That's how we come into alignment. The guidance to use with that coming into alignment is soul's wisdom. We need to take a deep inventory of our drives, desires, passions, motivations, ambitions, our vision, the source of our charisma. It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve you today. Thank you for allowing me the privilege to do so. Again, the guidance that was imposed was cosmic connection. So we need to grow through people, places, and things, because the people, places, and things in our life reinforce the intellect, reasoning, communication, the thoughts and beliefs alive in us that's manifesting. See, what you think determines how you act. What you act determines what the results that you get. The results that you get reinforce thinking. If you can't change your thinking, change your beliefs. If you can't change your beliefs, change your programming. If you can't change your programming, look at your faith. What you choose to put your power into. Look at your resources. What is your emotional currency? Well, that's your spiritual currency is your faith, hope, creativity, and imagination. So if your programming is suspect, look at your faith, hope, creativity, and imagination, so that your programming shifts around, so that your beliefs can be elevated, so that your thoughts can be God-centric, so that your actions create heaven on earth and not hell. Affirmation: I am illuminated, inspired, and grateful for this opportunity to expand in the light of pure consciousness. It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve you today. Thank you for allowing me the privilege to do so. Please take good care of yourselves. Bye-bye.